let's move on now to week 8, where we look at the 8 games that we're focusing on this week. And Shane, you're first up with a game that took place last night. So let's talk about Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State, game that was at 6:30 last night on ESPNU.
It was fun. Your Jacksonville State Gamecocks, man. They won. They won. I didn't think they would win that game. They were down for most of it to Western Kentucky. I was watching kind of those big Western Kentucky names. Austin Reed, the quarterback for Western Kentucky, didn't play particularly well. I mean, Jacksonville State, a lot of press coverage, got some pass rushing in there. And Malachi Corley, the big receiver, who I do like a lot, it's in my top 10 receivers, kind of quiet. He had a quiet game where he usually can dominate. So it was kind of interesting to see Jacksonville State almost, shut them down ultimately.
Yeah, I was wondering how Corley. Did you happen to catch any Jacksonville State interior offensive lineman Clay Webb last night? Just curious.
Yeah,
Did he?
I did. Let me look at my notes here. Yeah, I had him circled pretty good, especially in terms of run blocking and movement. So they had a lot of Zion Webb was running all over the place. Oftentimes not even some QB blast type things, and they ran behind Clay Webb. I mean, that was kind of we're just going to run behind him. So really kind of more of a road grading. I thought his footwork was pretty good. So solid, not super athletic, maybe undrafted, late round guy.
Yeah, he. That's kind of what I thought of him when I watched him earlier this season against UTEP as well. If there's one thing I can say though, if you can't run block, you're probably not going to play much in Rich Rod's offense there. So,
right.
So let's move on. I had changed a game around to get this game in. It's going on tonight. Was going on right now on ESPN2. New Mexico State at UTEP. I've seen UTEP play earlier this season. Their quarterback Gavin Hardison not going to play tonight. But they've got a couple of good defenders in Praise Amawule, the edge rusher, and Tyrese Knight, their linebacker, are two good players. But the guy that brought me to the table here, because I've been seeing him a lot on Twitter this season, and that's New Mexico State quarterback Diego Pavia. I have no idea if it's the hype is worthy, but I'm going to get a good look at him tonight.
Yeah, look, he's a big college fantasy football player. He's been putting up a lot of numbers, definitely on the small side for a quarterback, but kind of intriguing for a team. New Mexico State playing well for a team I didn't expect to do that well.
Jerry Keel, their head coach, right?
Yeah.
Former Minnesota coach. All right, let's move on to Saturday now at 11 a.m. on the ACC network. Shane, you'll be watching Boston College at Georgia Tech. A couple of underachieving teams here. Boston College, Christian Mahogany, their interior offensive line, probably their best prospect. If I had to garner a guess, maybe not. Georgia Tech has a corner that I liked a lot last year. Curious to see if he's still doing anything of note. Miles Brooks, their 6'2", 184 corner for Georgia Tech.
No, it's good. Yeah, I'm excited to see Christian Mahogany. That's really why I picked this game with him being back from injury, and seems like he's playing well. So I'm excited to watch some of these linemen that I've kind of bypassed so far this season. Georgia Tech does have some intriguing defenders, because Kevin Harris for them popped for me, but similarly, I don't think he's really much of a prospect. So I'm interested to see if the defense, if any of these guys kind of pop out in this game.
Yeah, it's I haven't watched them yet. I haven't watched neither one of those teams yet. The game I stole from you, Shane, 11 a.m. on Fox, Penn State at Ohio State. I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to watch these two teams, let's just watch this one, right? And this I guess another matchups I hope we get to see is either Sawyer or JT Tuimoloau against Olu Fashanu, right? I mean, that's something.
Yeah, it should be Sawyer's side, so he should at least get
Yeah.
some reps there against those two. Fashan is just, man, well, I'm still a stud on the left tackle side. I can't believe it.
Yeah. The other edge rusher in this game that I want to see is Chop Robinson from Penn State. I know you said today you're a little down on him this season, so we'll see how he does in this one.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be a really good matchup. So I'm excited. I'm going to watch it anyway.
Of course,
I'm excited for you to watch it. Tommy Eichenberg too for Ohio State. I want to see how he does against these running backs for Penn State.
Yeah, it's. I could watch this game 3 times and probably not.
Probably will have to.
Yeah, and not see all these matchups we need to see. Another game at 11 a.m. I'll be watching on ABC is UCF at Oklahoma. I haven't watched the Sooners yet this year. We talked about him last week, and you highlighted him earlier. Now I've got to focus fire here on because when you put your top 5 linebackers out on Twitter, I was like, I haven't watched 3 of these guys, so I've got to get on the ball here. And Danny Stutzman from Oklahoma was one of those guys, 3rd-year player, listed at 6'2", 215. I imagine his weight's probably up a little bit from that. But so he's got a guy I'm definitely going to focus on. UCF, they're a good team, but not a great team, not a whole lot of talent there. So mostly this will be focusing on the Oklahoma guys. Anxious to see Stanford transferred offensive tackle Walter Rouse. Brent Venables did a hell of a job at Oklahoma this year, turning that team around. They were 6-7 last year, and now they're top 5 team in the country.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised. I would not have guessed this. Also guy that you have talked about on the show before, Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle for Oklahoma, starting to get some first round buzz for him. So definitely intriguing. And a guy I like, no one's really talking about from Oklahoma is Billy Bowman, their safety, really good athlete, 5-star prospect. He's not getting any love. I feel like he should get more love.
You know who's going to get drafted in the 7th round and make the NFL team next year? Drake Stoops. It's going to happen.
I can see it. It's pretty good.
2:30 on CBS, Shane. It's the 3rd Saturday in October. It's Tennessee at Alabama on CBS. This game intrigues me because I really have liked what I've seen from John Campbell Jr., the offensive tackle from Tennessee. He's going to get tested this week for sure with either or both Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell. They've got a couple of interior offensive linemen that we got on our watch list are going to get tested by Justin Aboigwe and others. And don't look now, but Jermaine Burton is
coming back.
He's coming back. He's like, hey, remember me?
Yeah, wide receiver for Alabama, transferred from Georgia. I thought he was dead in the water, but Alabama's hurting for those weapons, so we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited to see the edge rushers because I feel like my notes just haven't matched up to their talent and even to the stats. So I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something here with Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell. I want to see them. J.C. Latham, the offensive tackle for Alabama's, fringe round hype, big athlete. And, let's see Kool-Aid McKinstry, top corner, potential top 5 pick in this draft. Tennessee's system is hard to cover, so I want to see if you can do it.
This could be the final nail in the draft obituary or draft coffin of Joe Milton, right?
Yeah, I think he's, I feel like he is what he is. Maybe he ends up in the 6th or 7th round just to take the height, weight, speed, arm type player. But Joe Milton really needs to show out if he wants to be back in the conversation.
100%. Also, chance to see Senior Bowl kicker Will Reichert for Alabama.
Yeah, hopefully they don't pass up a 3rd round kicker to bring him in.
Yeah, well, it's gonna happen. It's like
he's gonna be there.
It's like Fetch. It's gonna happen, Shane.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
He'll be on my prediction list. I'll say that.
He will be or won't be.
He will.
Oh, I would hope so. Absolutely. If you want to get one right, you're gonna get that one on there. Michigan at Michigan State, 6:30 p.m. on NBC. Shane, you'll have this one. And like we said, Michigan is undefeated, but they have played it's the best team they played, UNLV.
Maybe Bowling Green, where JJ McCarthy threw 3 picks. That could be it.
Could be. We're going to talk a little bit more about JJ McCarthy at the end of the show, so we'll hold off on that. But who from Michigan State here can stand out against Michigan?
We've talked about Jacoby Windman, the linebacker for them, a couple times. I think he has that kind of potential to be a special teams ace in the NFL, maybe play a little bit. So I like him and Cal Halliday, their other linebacker as well. Chris Bogle, the edge rusher. If he can get any kind of pressure through that Michigan offensive line, then he's getting a check mark in my book because it's the best offensive line in the country. But Michigan State definitely down after what they're going through this season. It's been tough.
What are your thoughts on Michigan wide receiver Roman Wilson?
I think he's a top 50 type pick. I might be a little lower in my rankings than where he'll go, but I think he's just an ultimate kind of Swiss Army knife weapon. Get the ball in his hands in space, and Roman Wilson will make you miss, do big things. I think he's in that conversation, and a lot of people aren't ready for it. We're going to talk about our top 5 receivers tonight. I don't think he's going to be in either of our list. He's probably going to go above one of the receivers on our list.
There you go. Finally, 7 p.m. on the ACC network. Clemson at Miami. This game here is interesting for me because I don't know what to think about Miami. I mean, they should be they lost to North Carolina last week, right?
Yeah.
And then shouldn't have lost to Georgia Tech the week before that, but that's neither here nor there. I thought I got lulled back in. He brought me back in. Tyler Van Dyke did, and it's just
out the door.
It's out the door. All the goodwill has been flushed away. There's a lot of players on their team that are just seemingly underachieving. Leonard Taylor, their big-time defensive line prospect, not having the best season. A couple other guys. One guy who is having a great season is their safety, Cameron Kinchins. So I'll be interested to watch him. Clemson's got some guys in the secondary that I'm going to focus fire on in this one. And Barrett Carter is another one of those linebackers that you had. He was your top linebacker.
He's been an absolute monster this year. I mean, he is doing everything when you watch that defense.
So what does he do different than their other linebacker, Jeremiah Schroeder Jr., who was seemingly the top linebacker prospect coming into the season?
Jeremiah Trotter reminds me a bit of Trenton Simpson last year, right? Where kind of undisciplined. He has the athletic ability. You see the upside, but it's not putting it together. And Barrett Carter is the, almost locked in leader, knows exactly where the offense is going when they're going. He's there. He's making the wrap tackle. It's just more reliable, but maybe not the upside of Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
They have a safety, Andrew Makuba, who's a good player. Sheridan Jones, their corner, another guy I like as well. So anxious to see how they play against Miami. All right, so that's going to do it for our Week 8 preview. 8 games there. Is there any other game happening this weekend we're not watching that you'll probably watch anyway?
That's a good question. I haven't gone through the schedule to kind of pick out, outside of the other ones, which ones I'm going to watch. But it's not an awful day of college football. But I'm going to be, I'm going to be locked in Ohio State, Penn State.
I'll watch South Carolina, Missouri, obviously, but it's
Utah, USC. I see if USC can bounce back after disappointing me against Notre Dame. And Utah's defense has been tough. That's probably a big one.
To me, that's big for Caleb Williams. He's had back-to-back weeks where he's been on the struggle bus a little bit, and he needs to get right. And I don't know if Utah's defense is the defense to get right against.
It's tough. Yeah, it's a tough one to do. So we'll see if he can.
That team's in for a bad way. they've got back-to-back games coming up in November against Oregon and Washington. That's
you better score a lot more points against those teams.
Their defense is not going to be equipped for that, I don't believe. All right.